There have been a lot of names that have come up recently with all of this Diddy drama happening right now, but there is one name in particular we want to talk about specifically. The late Kim Porter, Diddy's ex-girlfriend. And it's strange that her name is coming up and is part of the conversation because it's really centered around her death. And that's what we're going to get into. Now, Sean Diddy Combs, of course, is in the news a lot lately after he was hit with numerous lawsuits alleging sexual assault, sexual violence, physical violence, sex trafficking, illegal weapons, and narcotics possession. And of course, his homes in LA and Miami were raided last month. His sons, Christian and Justin, were placed in handcuffs. They were detained, not arrested. This reportedly is all pursuant to an ongoing federal sex trafficking investigation from New York. Now, there have been no arrests. There have been no indictments. There have been no charges other than a Diddy associate who was arrested on narcotics charges on the day of the raids. But experts we've spoken to indicate that charges against the rapper and music mogul could very well be on the horizon. But we shall see. Now, with all of this going on, let's talk now about Kim Porter. So who is Kim Porter? Well, Kim Porter was originally from Georgia. She was a model. She was an actress. She presented in fashion shows. She was on the covers of magazines like Essence and Jet. In terms of her acting career, she appeared in projects like Law & Order, Wicked Wicked Games, and The Brothers and Mama. But really, where she became most renowned was for her romantic relationship with Sean Diddy Combs. She started dating Combs in the 1990s. They reportedly had an on-again, off-again relationship. They ended up having a son together, Christian. He was born on April 1st, 1998. Now, she had her first son. His name's Quincy Brown, but she had him with a music producer named Al B. Shore. But Diddy actually considers Quincy as his own son and has raised him since a young age. So he's a part of the family. But like I said, Combs and Porter, they had this on-again, off-again relationship. Combs and Porter, they broke up in 1999. This was the year after Christian was born. They ended up having a reportedly nasty court battle over custody. But then we can't forget that Combs went on to date singer Jennifer Lopez, J-Lo, for a couple of years. In fact, as we previously discussed on a sidebar, in one of the lawsuits that Combs currently faces, one filed by his former producer Rodney Jones, the infamous 1999 nightclub shooting involving Combs and J-Lo is referenced, and Jones makes the claim that Combs admitted he had someone take the fall for him that night, that he was really responsible for what happened. Anyway, it's our understanding that Combs and Porter, they reconcile and they get back together in 2003. Fast forward 3 years, 2006, the couple welcomed their twin daughters, Delilah Starr and Jessie James. But apparently, it was not all sunshine and rainbows with this couple. No, you come to find out that Combs reportedly cheated, that he was expecting a child with a woman named Sarah Chapman in 2006 while Porter was pregnant with their twins. Porter told the publication Essence that she found out what was happening through a friend. She was quoted as saying, "I would have preferred to find out from him because that's a man. I know it's hard for anyone to say to their significant other, I've gotten into some S and I've got a baby on the way, but men do get caught up in things. I'm not naive to that. Still, there's a right and a wrong way to handle it because most of all, we were friends. Even if I couldn't have understood it as a woman, I would have understood it as a friend." Porter said that after their twin daughters were born, Diddy did come clean to her, and she reportedly said to him, "Really? Well, I already knew. I'm glad you decided to be a man. I was like, dude, this is so whack. I can't even respect you right now. And for me, once the respect is gone, I'm not even listening to you." Interestingly, Combs told Essence that while Porter deserved to get married, he wasn't ready. He was quoted as saying, "It's not a reflection on how much I love Kim. It's that I'm just learning how to be a good boyfriend. When I'm finished with this step, I'll move on to the next." Well, less than a year later in 2007, the couple ended their relationship officially. This was the last time they were together, or reportedly together. Porter said in a statement to the media through her rep, quote, "In ending this relationship, I made a decision that was in the best interest of myself, Sean, and our family. I look forward to moving on with my life and my career and wish him prosperity, health, and happiness in life and in love." We will remain friends and committed parents to our children. Now, Porter also did an interview with Essence Magazine, and the interviewer asked her if she was scared to leave. Well, Porter told the interviewer, no, not at all, but I wanted to be dramatic. I wanted him to know I wasn't breaking up with him for 2 weeks or maybe leaving for 2 days. If I pack up everything, twins and all, it means I'm out. Puffy's an action person, not a talk person, so I had to have an action. Telling him, babe, I'm leaving, that was not going to do it. She went on to say, it's not an original script. He's not the first man who's cheated. He's not the first man who's had a baby outside of his relationship. He's not the originator of this, but at this point in my life, I have girls now. It's a different program. Now, here's the thing. By all accounts, Porter and Combs, they seem to remain close. They seem to be on good terms as parents. Porter would even say that she and Combs were friends, that they were committed as parents, and that Combs called her every day. Combs told Jet Magazine, quote, Kim is an incredible mother to our children. We've been part of each other's lives for many years, and I've always admired her courage and strength. We're the best of friends. And that amicable relationship continued until her death. So let's talk about 2018, because in 2018, Porter and Combs, they reportedly spent Mother's Day together. They and all their kids came out to attend a screening of their son Quincy's new Netflix movie called Holiday Calendar. And Combs, even in that year, shared an Instagram photo of Porter and their daughters dressed up for Halloween. And then on November 4th, 2018, 1 week before her untimely death, she wished Combs happy birthday on her Instagram, posting a photo of him with the caption, Happy birthday at Diddy. On this day, a genius was born. May you continue to be the driving force of energy that God created you to be. Thank you for giving me the best gifts of life, our children. But then, November 15th, 2018, at age 47, Kim Porter is found dead in her home in Toluca Lake, California. LA County Sheriff's Office said that at the time that officers responded to her home at 11:40 a.m., they found her unresponsive. She was pronounced dead on the scene. Initially, an autopsy was performed on Porter the next day, and according to the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner Coroner's Office, the cause of death was deferred pending additional tests. Well, then you fast forward to January 2019, 2 months later, and the office then concludes that she died of lobar pneumonia. Manner of death, natural, had apparently gone into cardiac arrest. It was reported that she had been battling flu-like symptoms in the days leading up to her death, and that there were water bottles, sports drinks, even Pedialyte were all in her bedroom. Days after her death, Combs commented publicly about Porter's death for the first time, writing on Instagram, quote, For the last 3 days, I've been trying to wake up out of this nightmare, but I haven't. I don't know what I'm going to do without you, baby. I miss you so much. Today, I'm going to pay tribute Today, I'm going to pay tribute to you. I'm going to try and find the words to explain our unexplainable relationship. We were more than best friends. We were more than soulmates. We were some other S. And I miss you so much. Super Black Love. Combs would reportedly tell Essence Magazine the following year, quote, One night, I was checking on her and she was like, Puffy, take care of my babies. She actually said that to me before she died. Well, during her funeral out in her hometown in Georgia, Combs delivered a very emotional eulogy talking about the love that he has for her, how close he was with her, how she will always be with him, how she was someone that was sent to him to help him in life. At the eulogy, he said, quote, I just want to say to my kids, Justin, Christian, Delilah, Jesse, Chance, and the other man in the house, Quincy, your mother instilled in me this, and I pledge in front of everybody right now that I will always be there for you. I will always take care of you. And since her death, Combs has publicly commented on Porter. On the 2-year anniversary of her death, he posted on Instagram photos of Porter with the caption, Queen Kim Porter, irreplaceable, love you forever. He posted a tribute of her the following month for what would have been her 50th birthday. In 2022, after accepting the Lifetime Achievement Award at the BET Awards, Combs said, I just miss Kim, y'all. I just want to say thank you to Kim. And then even in 2023, Combs claimed that Porter was the inspiration behind his latest album, the Love album, Off the Grid, even dedicated a song to her. He was quoted as saying, I always said that I can't make a hit record unless my heart is broken. It's just like a vulnerable state that you're in. When I lost Kim, it broke my heart forever. And on what would have been her 53rd birthday in December of 2023, Combs posted on Instagram, "We miss you so much, Kim. Happy birthday, beautiful. Love forever." So it's just a really, really sad story. But having said all of that, with all of this legal stuff going on with Diddy, with him under the spotlight, there is a conspiracy theory that has been going on for a couple of years, but it seems to be amplified, especially now. This conspiracy theory is that Porter's death is not what it seems. For example, Donald Trump Jr. went on the Academics podcast and said that his ex-wife Vanessa was friends with Porter, and that when Porter died in 2018, Vanessa called him and allegedly said, "Something is up with that."
She was really afraid of him, and it
Really?
Yeah, like this goes back years, and so and she was having these conversations with my ex. I was like, I don't know what like.
Trump Jr. went on to say that not a lot of people die at 47 of pneumonia, and I'm not trying to fuel any kind of rumor, but that's a conversation I had with someone who knew her well. And these conspiracy theories are popping up a lot online, like on Reddit. In fact, Porter's ex, Al B. Shore, the father of Quincy, reportedly said that Porter told him that she was running from someone and had to call the FBI. And these aren't new allegations, because back in 2020, Brown reportedly posted on Instagram, "I do know very clearly that hashtag Kimberly didn't just check out all of a sudden. That's some bull S. This is where I get in trouble." And he went on to allegedly claim that the initial coroner's report said that it was ruled a homicide, and they found toxins in her body to prove that she had been poisoned. Singer-songwriter Jaguar Wright doubled down on that back in 2022 in a real-life Street Productions interview.
Kim died from pneumonia, but there's the first coroner's report that said that she died. It was ruled a homicide, and they found toxins in her body to prove that she had been poisoned. You know, they have poisons that create heart attack and pneumonia-like symptoms.
And by the way, this is coupled with allegations that there was violence in the relationship between Combs and Porter. Interesting to think about, considering the allegations that Combs is facing now, that he was violent with a number of people. But Combs' ex-bodyguard, Gene Deal, also told the Art of Dialogue podcast that Porter once attacked Combs in self-defense. He was quoted as saying, "One night when they were at home at Kim's house, he wanted to, put his hands on her in the wrong way, and Kim took one of those corkscrews and ripped his wrists up, and she hit an artery, and when she did that, he had to rush over to St. Luke's Hospital." Now, let's be very, very clear. There is nothing to corroborate or verify these claims that Porter's death was anything other than from natural causes and pneumonia. We are not casting any aspersions on the investigation in any way. Let me be clear about that. Having said it, let's try to put this to rest, and let's make sense of this. And who better to talk about it than one of my favorites, Joseph Scott Morgan, forensic death investigator from Jacksonville State University, host of the Body Bags podcast. Joseph, so good to see you. All right, what do you make of the rumors here? This idea that there is more to the death of Kim Porter than meets the eye.
Well, we always have to fall back to the science, particularly in my area. We don't manage rumors very well, in the scientific community. We want to see hard evidence of this. And with that understanding, when Miss Porter was found deceased in, her Toluca Lake home, lying on the bed, there were a couple of people that just thought that she was sleeping, and so they had to, go in and officially, assess her. And, the family, friends, they determined that she had passed on. When you have a person of her age that passes away, and she's a young woman, that, we're going to view that. We're going to walk into a scene And our immediate working assumption is that all cases are homicides until proven otherwise. And so we have kind of a checklist that we work off of in the medical legal world. And if you're not seeing, classically signs of forced entry and struggle, broken furniture, that sort of thing, and then you turn your gaze to the body, because I think that one of the things that's been kind of floating around out there is this idea of perhaps suffocation. LA County, their medical examiner coroner is top flight, when it comes to this sort of thing, doing these assessments. So they're going to examine the eyes very carefully, looking for petechiae, and then, any signs of trauma externally that you can appreciate. Well, that's not where it ends, and you have to understand this. She would have been removed, which she was, from that scene and taken to the ME's office in LA County, and this examination would have been performed. They're looking at everything here, Jesse. So it's really hard. It would be hard for me to believe that there's anything nefarious going on that the ME did not pick up on.
Let's break this down a little bit. So they say that she died from lobar pneumonia. Is that common for someone to get lobar pneumonia at 47 and to die from this pneumonia? And for anybody who doesn't know, explain to us how someone dies from pneumonia.
Right. Yeah, it's an excellent question. So, our lungs, we have, each lung has lobes. And so the left lung, because the heart is on the left side, only has 2. The right lung has 3, and it's specifically concentrated in one of these particular lobes. The death itself is very, very painful. It's almost like an individual is drowning in their own congestion, if you will. Lungs get very heavy, and you're looking for the cause of the pneumonia. Is it a viral event that's going on? And had she been to see a virologist, for instance, and a pulmonologist to treat this, or was this kind of taking care of herself at home? Because it can get away from you very quickly. You can spike temps, a white count goes up, something that you look for in the test.
Reportedly, she was having these symptoms: coughing, congestion, sweats, sore throat, body aches. It was getting bad. Her doctor reportedly prescribed her Toradol, which I understand is an anti-inflammatory drug. So, and as I mentioned before, in the house, in the bedroom, were drinks, and I think there was tomato soup, and there was also reported that she had a streak of blood in her phlegm.
Yeah. And that's not, to see that kind of hemorrhagic presentation. On a personal note, I've had, I think, pneumonia, 3 times in my life. It all started in the military. And it's one of those things that once you have it once, it will represent. It's a horrible set of circumstances to be in. And yes, people her age do in fact die of pneumonia. And so I would be very curious to try to understand the microscopic examination, because that's where this diagnosis rests, Jesse, relative to her lungs, and making this postmortem diagnosis, or it's almost confirmatory, because if you've got the attending physician that is aggressively treating this condition that she had been diagnosed with, first off, you hope that they took the right therapeutic track, the right clinical track. And then at autopsy, just like in a hospital with a natural death, you try to explore that and confirm or disprove, either way, what the practitioner had diagnosed. And so that's what they're going to be looking at in a case like this. They will have acquired all of her medical records. MEs do this all of the time. And before the doctor would actually sign, and when I say doctor, I mean the forensic pathologist, before they sign the death certificate, they would have reviewed all of these records going back to all of her treatment.
So let's just be clear here. First, our understanding it was reported that her cause of death was deferred, and that and it was pending additional testing, and then they don't come back with the cause and manner of death until 2 months later. For anybody listening, is there anything unusual about that?
No, because I can tell you one of the things they would have done in the morgue, if they had an indication of pneumonia, they probably would have done studies that extend far beyond just doing the gross anatomical dissection and then the microscopic examination. They would have done cultures on her lungs, and that sometimes can take time. And then you have kind of the specter that everybody, really is interested in with medical examiner. That's the tox panel, because when you have someone that is of this age, and that's important to keep in mind, you're trying to explore every possibility. It's less likely that someone of her age would die. But if you've got someone that's, say, in their 80s and they're already compromised in health, pneumonia is a very common cause of death in that age group. So you're going to explore every possible avenue as a pathologist. I think the pathologist would have to explain this, because let's face it, they're not fools. They have an awareness of who she is. They would want to make sure that everything is covered in this case. And that's the one thing that's different from LA, is that they're used to dealing with people that are in this strata.
Right.
Where there's going to be a real, they're going to be under the microscope. Everything will be questioned.
So there's this allegation that the first coroner's report said it was a homicide and there were toxins in her body. I have not seen anything to suggest that. It seems to me it's a rumor. Have you seen anything different?
Never.
So
No.
where does that come from? Is that just a rumor?
I have no idea. Again, it goes to, the idea of stirring the pot, perhaps. I have no idea, because let me tell you something. If they had, give me that statement one more time, Jesse. I heard you say homicide, and then what was, and toxin.
Toxin.
So when you, toxins, plural. So if that is a very bold statement for an ME to come out with, and kind of, push that out there. I mean, you've been doing this long enough to know that most of the time, if you don't get the complete autopsy report, you're going to get one of these kind of sheets that comes out from the coroner of the ME, and it's going to say, well, we've got, we're going to rule this as a homicide, and this might be the contributing factors. Right. It doesn't go into great detail, but to push that's very provocative information to push out there. I highly doubt that the ME coroner would push that out there.
And again, I don't know where it came from, but let's end on this. So the idea here, she died from pneumonia. Is there a poison that could be administered that would look like it was pneumonia? Because again, that's been another allegation, that she was poisoned, that there's drugs that mimic pneumonia symptoms. But I have to understand that they must have screened her body for, any kinds of drugs or substances.
Right.
Is there anything?
Yeah.
So here's the two questions I'm going to leave you on. A, is there any drug that can mimic the symptoms of pneumonia and kill somebody to make it look like it's pneumonia? And B, is it a substance that wouldn't be detected in the body if you do a screening?
Wow. Okay. One of the things that's commonly put forth, relative to lung issues and death, particularly when you're talking about any kind of foreign agent, my default position is always something like an opiate. So if you're talking about, and we see this a lot with heroin ODs, for instance, and morphine too, the lungs become highly congested, Jesse. And, but you won't have, what will be different is, and this is kind of graphic, but you don't have this kind of pussy exudate coming from the lungs like you do with a pneumonia. So the doctor right off the top would be able to kind of rule that out. The lungs do get heavy with opiate overdoses, but that's something that's right at the top of the list on for what's referred to as a standard panel. They're going to screen for all of those. I can't imagine under any circumstances that there is something out there that would mask pneumonia. I can probably be proven wrong. I'm sure there will be somebody out there who will say, well, did they think about this? And that's the big question. Did they think about it? And I would imagine that they explored every possible avenue within their realm.
So after speaking to you, Joseph, I am of the opinion that there is nothing to indicate foul play. I am accepting that this is a tragic case. of pneumonia taking the life of somebody. It was a young mother. It's a tragedy, but I am not going to go forward with the idea that there is anything more nefarious at play. And I appreciate you giving your insight to all of us here, and hopefully it does quiet